It's so weird because people that have listened to what I'm saying and have seen me say something and then have it happen right in front of them almost treat me like I'm a handicapped person. And what I mean by that is, say, talking in a quiet voice around people who don't understand that I'm a cosmic being who actually understands God and creation. To saying that to a normal, everyday person seems like such a shock that the people who know that I'm not joking and actually know that I'm being honest almost treat me like, here, just take it easy, go over there. I'll handle this person. I don't want you to say anything to them because they'll get offended. And I'm like, but they need to hear what I'm saying because they need the message, not you. They need to hear it. They need somebody to tell them that they're in the wrong and somebody can see it and point it out to them. So maybe if they want to improve and they just didn't know any better, they can. That's the point. You got to put it out there so that people can understand that they are in the wrong, whether they want to admit it or not. Sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry, but unfortunately, it hurts your feelings. Let me try to explain something a little better. The reason that I don't like doing videos online is because there's no real life live interaction. And when I'm standing in front of a person talking to them, I can feel the energy there. I can smile and have a happy look on my face, depending on if the person gives that kind of reaction. And I can change when I see the reactions and feel the reactions from people. But when we're online, you just put a video out. If something really does bother my individual person because it's being done to my kids or the world around me is being torn apart and people are being killed and maimed and hurt and made sick, that stuff doesn't make me happy. And if there's no one there for me to actually converse with, then all I have is a camera to look at or a phone to talk into. And of course, I'm going to express real emotion. There's a problem in our world where we're expected to just bottle up all your feelings and don't show anybody how you feel. I mean, if it's kind of pathetic and you get angry and frustrated over every little thing, that's something you got to work on. But when it comes to a real thing where your feelings should be expressed, then do it. People just want you to keep subduing yourself until you're just some robot who doesn't care about anything. And that's working on many, many people. We can't allow this to keep happening or it's our doom, not theirs, ours. If other people are doing you wrong, you've got to stand up to it. They're not just all of a sudden going to have a change of heart and be like, you know what? I don't want to be in control anymore. I don't want to run people's lives. I want to be one of them who gets bossed around. Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's why people want to elect somebody else in the office. You're not doing anything but causing more problems. You've got to take it upon yourself to take care of yourself and the people you love who can't do it for themselves yet, or who've lost the ability to because they've gotten old. This is where we rise up to the occasion and lift each other to a higher place. I'm teaching how we do that. And I'm brave enough and honest enough to say it to everyone, every day, all the time. Because that is my purpose as an individual. And that is also what every individual is here to learn. That you aren't the most important thing. You're part of the one that is the most important thing to life. Living energy gets to learn through itself, and it can't possibly move forward if we're hurting, maiming, and killing each other, obviously. What we should be killing is our bad habits and our horrible tendencies. That's what we're supposed to kill, not each other, not people with different belief systems. Now, why not hear from someone who actually knows and doesn't just believe? That's me, and I love you enough to keep offering, even if you get mad, because it faces you with the obvious truth that maybe you didn't know what you were doing this whole time. And that is acceptable, and it is forgivable. But we've got to do something about it soon, unless we just want to keep living in a world with no love. And basically, the feeling like nothing is ever going to go right. I know for sure it can, and I'm doing everything I can to bring that to everyone. How pathetic and childish is it if you really think about how some people be like, it's got to be made in the USA, because they'll see something like made in China or made in Vietnam or made in Indonesia, and they'll be like, I don't want that crap, it's not made in America. But then, how many people from other states do you actually know? Say if you live in Washington State, and somebody at the tag says, made in New York, are you like, screw that, it's made in New York, I need it to be made in Washington, it's got to be in my invisible lines that are drawn into a little compartment. Everything has got to be specifically made from my compartment, because if not, then it's not one of us, it's not one of mine that did it. Like, they're not yours anyway. It's a living person on a landmass, and not every person in other countries wants you to die. It just happens to be the rich corporate people who all work together against us to keep us separated who are doing that. And they don't really care if it's made in America. They just say it to get you stirred up. Get it through your head and get over it. Made in America. What an embarrassment. The universe is your teacher. And by that I mean every part of it. Every person is teaching you something. Doesn't mean that they know they are. In fact, most of them don't know they are. For instance, when you are truly aware, when you are truly what is overused as a terminology, awake to what is happening in this cosmic space we call Earth, in this other vast whole, I guess you could say, this vast, wonderful, crazy, scary, with every adjective and every noun and everything that you could ever think of called the universe. When you actually are aware of yourself and aware of others and aware of things, everything really does teach you. For instance, say there's this man, and I'm only going to use him for an example because I love the guy and he's a family friend actually, and I only know him very little. He happens to be 78 years old and he's got slight mental problems. He was born with them. He rides around on a bike with a yellow jacket and a helmet. And even at age 77, he likes going to the amusement park, which is around here. It's called Waldemere, and it's basically a bunch of kiddie rides. And he loves ice cream. He said, I can't wait until summer because I love Waldemere and ice cream. And I'm like, you're still living in your childhood. And I understand why. Sometimes it gets frustrating when he'll talk about things that don't matter at all, like the races or who won the football game as the world's falling apart. But that's for me to see where a lot of people are. Whether or not he has a slight mental disorder, people don't have to obviously show that visibly that they have a mental disorder. Some are things you're born with. Some are things that you have drilled into you after you're born. So it gets bored into your brain from your life experiences. That doesn't mean that the teacher, in whatever form it may come, has any idea or any grasp at all what they're doing. It just means that they're being. The universe is operating through them, and you have the opportunity to see it, to observe it, and to understand it, to contemplate about it. Not to rack your brain, but to contemplate about it. Some of the best teachers are some of the worst times. Let's use the idea of the ice bath or the sweat lodge. When you're extremely hot or when you're extremely cold, it's hard to worry about what's going on out there in the world. You have to be centered on yourself all of a sudden. You're like, oh, I'm so cold, I'm right here. Or I'm so hot, I'm burning up. It brings you into yourself. That's why people don't like extreme cold and extreme hot. Of course, there's tons of other reasons. They could say, I don't like it because when it's snowing outside, I can't drive as easily. Or when it's hot outside, I can't go around without getting sweaty. I get that. But on a big scale, the climate change of this world, yes, it may have physical attributes to it, like you'll feel the heat or you'll feel the cold and all that kind of stuff. But it's bringing you into yourself so you can learn how to truly feel, to truly observe, to truly contemplate. But instead of using your actual intelligence, you're using the memory banks of information that you've been taught over your lifetime. I understand why. Because you're all teaching me so much without you even knowing. And I'm here to teach the big lesson. Today was one of those days where I decided a good way to show just a little bit of extra camaraderie or respect to people, or to show them that someone's trying to think of them. Every person, I used my own change. I had a whole bunch of my own change. And every person who had a change to their total, which was very rare that anybody hits an even amount unless they're just getting one or two things that's an actual dollar amount on the schnoz. But any person who had change, I used my own change. Say, oh, I got that. Except for people that were like, no, I've got it too. And some people just want to be self-sufficient. They don't want anyone to be nice to them or help them or give them anything. And I get it. I understand. And I don't go like, well, fine, be that way. But either way, every person I can, I used, and I'm out of it now. I don't have any more change left. But I used my own change in order to just show people that I care. I want to help. I want to do whatever I can to be nice to people. You know that old saying, be nice to people. Why does that sound so stupid to most people? Well, and I don't mean stupid as in like, dumb. I literally mean like, why does it sound like people are not being themselves, or it's so fake to be nice to people or to care? Why does that seem like it's fake? Because to me, it's the most real thing. I really care. I really love. Being crabby and angry all the time is just basically getting caught up in your story, which is acting. And you're acting out of line. You're acting unhappy. You're acting scared. But you really aren't. You're the thing behind that. just not noticing it. So I try to do whatever I can to honestly be nice to people and to literally, actually, in life, do good things. I don't just say it, I do it. So now I'm trying to find other people that want to come together to do really good things. Because I know if there were 100 people with a heart like mine, the world could change for the better quickly. And that's good. That's a great thing. The only people that would be negatively affected by it are people who benefit off of your misery and suffering. And sorry to say, but maybe they need a little bit of misery and suffering in the form of losing all the great things that they have that other people don't because they've manipulated their way there. That's the suffering they need to go through. I don't want to hurt them, harm them, do anything to them, but even out the playing field, I guess you could say, and make life where everyone can feel respected, appreciated, and loved. That's what I'm working towards. That's where my heart is. And that's what I'm doing with my life. Whether or not I have to play along with the game during that period of time, this is always what I'm doing. That's my job. My job is to raise humanity. And that doesn't matter if you're older than me, I'm still here to raise you as part of humanity. Not you as an individual, being respectful, but together, we all need raised. We're all playing our part. And now we come together and stop being apart. Yet, we do have our details and our own personal things. We can work through them, and that has to happen together. We can't grow together being apart, obviously. So from my heart to you, till next time, peace and God bless. It's unfortunate that so many people with good intentions have developed such bad tendencies. Let's say the grandparents, they love you and they wanted to love you properly, but they didn't know how because no one ever showed them. And no one ever took the time to really sit and think about what really matters. Because since they were little, they were told to do this, told to do that, and they never really did anything about it because it was taught to listen to your elders. Your elders know what's best for you. But if they don't, what do you do then? You find it out for yourself. And right now, we're going through a cycle of 7. That's why these things happen. What's really weird is the best way to explain it is that the light bodies that are coming into the newborn children are actually older spirits in a sense. They've been around and they know that they've been around. So they send beings who have gone through lifetimes after lifetime after lifetime, and they have remembered what the purpose is here. So when they're born into the world, they're more likely to start off understanding. Doesn't mean that they still can't be malfunctioned. But then when you tell the wrong story or have a bad example to a child who's a higher being, more things manifest that end up being out in the world, that end up being taken as the way things are or taken as the way people want things. And that really, really starts to implode until we start to see that what we were here to do is something completely different than just listen to your elders. Guess what? Your elders may have been taught wrong. And not because everyone they ever knew wanted to lie to them. It's just that everyone they ever knew had still been lying to themselves without knowing it. No one taught them how to distinguish between real and fake to a deeper degree than just what you see. It's about what you feel, because there's nothing out there in the world that didn't come from somebody's inside. And if your heart is in the right place, you're automatically not going to do horrible things on purpose. And a lot of people have their heart in the right place. It's just they learned the wrong things, and with their heart in the right place, they're doing the wrong things well. With all their love and with all their hope for their loved ones. They pass it down to their kids because that's how they were raised, and they want to be the best impression they can be. And like I said, they just don't know how to do that. Today really is one of those days where every aspect is really shining through. Like a lady came through, and I'm really kind to everybody. She couldn't decide what she wanted. She had a lemon water and a peach water and a box of Velveeta skillet dinners, like basically hamburger helper kind of thing. And she's like, I thought I had a pack of hamburger in my fridge. And as soon as she said that, of course, I have the automatic reaction that is real. And I didn't say anything, but inside I already a part of me respects the lady, cares about the lady. But just like I was saying, we were taught wrong. She says, I thought I had a package of hamburger in my freezer. And when I checked, it wasn't there. So I guess I must have eaten it and forgot about it. So that just goes to show you how much that the life of that actual dead animal, the dead cow, that was what you referred to as package of hamburger, the dead cow that you ate and didn't even know you ate it. Do you see how the disregard for life has been taught? Not because that's the way it should be. Imagine if aliens did the same thing to human beings and just munched them down and thought nothing of it because, hey, that ground meat is just what we've always done. We've always farmed these beings and ate them. There's a way different way that works when it's blood and flesh. Notice the flesh colors are the far ends of the rainbow. And notice the fruit and vegetable colors are the center colors of the rainbow. Yes, you can have fruits that grow different colors, but usually the plant life, the plant parts of them will be green. And that's the sun and the sky and the water. When we put it all together, we're meant to eat green. We're not meant to eat red. Red brings fear. Purple can bring anger because it's being mellow in a red place. But purple usually only happens when food is either, decaying, or very rare are there foods that are plants, but those ones are very good for your brain. Either way, we'll get into this more. Why is it that people don't understand the simple part about, what we would call veganism, or just people who don't want to eat meat? To the point where, say, somebody walks up and you're just standing face to face, happen to be cashing them out, and they go, "My wife's doing up some ribs this afternoon." And I'm thinking to myself, like, why would you tell me that? To me, that's obviously saying, my wife's cooking up dead baby pig parts today, which is really what it is. And we are so used to doing it that we don't even think about it. And if I point that out, then people think I'm weird, because I go, you're basically saying that you're looking forward to marinating dead pig parts with sauces and eating them. It's kind of gross. It's really gross, actually. We've always been doing it, and now it's time for us to raise up out of that way of thinking, that way of acting, and that way of being. And for someone to look at me and think I'm weird for that is actually quite backwards. Look at Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, and, say, Marshall Mathers, Eminem. Michael Jackson, in cosmic form, showed a man who is definitely in touch with his feminine, maybe a little too much in touch. Yee-hee! But all jokes aside, Michael is my call, or growth, mycelial, the growing angel, and wanted to be like Peter Pan and live in Never Never Land and never grow up, but also wanted to remember the time, wanted to be bad, didn't care if you were black or white, wanted to heal the world. I mean, these are just things that he did through his universal call sign, but they also fit with his time. Elvis Presley, he was the king then because that was the kinetic identified notion generated and grouped as singing, gambling, fighting, all the things that Elvis was known for. Swiveling the hips, he was the sign of his times. Marshall Mathers, when things are martial law, that's identified. He's Marshall. Marshall. He's putting it out to the world as it adds up. Mathers. So he's a representation of what things are. And when people would consider that kind of thing as the rap god, that would be the representation of how things are going. Rap, goad. The representation, rap, god. How things are going, goad. See how that really is what's going on in the world. And it appears to everyone in a certain way. And then other people who can't notice the big picture are so stuck on themselves. I'm not. I'm telling you that we're living in it. I'm reading it to you and showing it to you. And the way we fix it is by not getting caught in egos and doing what is actually right, not just how we're playing out. Because we're playing out and we're playing ourselves so bad. And playing yourself in this terminology is not a good thing. You're becoming too associated with your ego and being people the way people would expect you to be. Just following along, doing the things that everybody else is doing, following the laws, making money, worshiping idols, whether you say you do or not. You're using that. You're using those means of communication, those means of interaction and value, and letting it belittle our own lives while we're in them. Instead of just watching what others are doing, taking it in, and actually changing it, we're doing it and not doing anything about it besides complaining once in a while and trying to avoid, like I said, the big picture. So Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, Marshall Mathers, every single individual in the world is playing their part of the universe. And then you see it, you're not going to stop seeing it. It's just overwhelming trying to figure out how you're going to help the world when everybody's stuck in that and can't see it the way others can. And when they try to explain it to them, they get mad about it, which is understandable. But you got to love them enough to keep trying. We all know the type of guy who's got his baseball hat so pinched together and rounded off in the front it looks like the inside of a pipeline wave. You know what I mean? So he's got his hat folded in. He's a baseball player. He comes through and he's like, "Mama didn't raise no fool. You put the hard stuff in the bag first before you put the soft stuff in." Of course. He's like I said, "Mama didn't raise no fool." Somewhat. And I go, yeah, I say that to a lot of people all the time, like our ancestors, our grandparents, our parents, the ones who actually loved us, tried their best to raise us the right way, based on what they knew. I was like, but we're still supposed to try to improve and be better. I try to say that to a lot of people. And he's like, yeah. He's like, just wait till you see what's going to happen in the next 10 years. And if people really understood what I'm trying to say is, you're not going to one up me or something, because he has this kind of like attitude of I know everything and I'm always right or whatever. And there's not even, I'm not trying to have an attitude of that. One of these things is I do understand the patterns and I do see how things are going to add up. It doesn't mean I walk around going like, I'm always right. Yeah, I'll show you. And that's not what it's about. It's about helping people see that if we don't do something, this is what it will become. Instead of just saying, just wait and see what's going to happen in the next 10 years. And I say, I already know. But that's why I try to tell people, instead of just saying, just wait and see what will happen, let's start working towards making it something in the way we want it to be. Not letting other people push it on us and say, there's nothing we can do. We just have to sit back and watch what they do to us. That's a very childish way to look at life. For people to not understand that and get offended when I say it, I'm like, it's up to you to want to make changes in your life. No one's going to do it for you. And if you just sit back and say, just wait and see what they're going to do, you're like forfeiting your own ability to make something out of your life, other than something within the confines or under the restrictions of other people who make up your mind for you, but you just don't see it for what it is, and you get mad at other people who try to point it out.